There are three, I would say, main areas of research that we're pursuing. Um, One of them is into the concept of causation in very complicated genetic systems. A very important mystery, really, in contemporary genetics is we've known for quite some time, really since before the discovery of DNA. We've been able to use twins and families to know that genetics play a role in most important differences between human beings. Everything from mental illnesses like schizophrenia on the one hand to normal differences between people like intelligence and behavior and intelligence and personality and things like that. There is no, in most senses of the word, there is no gene for schizophrenia and there is no gene for human intelligence. The genetic influence on those things is spread out over hundreds, if not thousands, of genes, with each gene having such a tiny effect that it's almost impossible to characterize it biologically. That finding has led to, on the one hand, a lot of empirical genetic work along the lines of, well, what do we do now? How do we analyze this thing now? And then a lot of philosophical work trying to understand, well, what does it mean to say that genes influence something like human intelligence? These are people who don't normally talk to each other. That empirical scientists are in the lab doing the work. They don't really see it as their job to understand the big picture of what it all means. And whereas philosophers often, not always, can be in the ivory tower, as we say, thinking great thoughts about the meaning of science, but not having the opportunity to work side by side with the actual working scientists. An interesting part of the history here is that, especially in behavior genetics, traditionally the science and the philosophy had a adversarial relationship. Things are very different nowadays because nowadays you have, first of all, behavior genetics has become an established part of the behavioral sciences and contributes in all sorts of positive ways to social science that extend way beyond the old concerns with race and things like that. And in the same way, philosophers of science have engaged positively with behavior genetics. There's disagreement in the field about where everything is headed. I'm more of a skeptic that thinks that the complexity of these genetic systems is going to preclude us from ever being able to make high quality predictions about something as complex as human personality. There are people in the field, both on the science and philosophy side, who disagree with me, and that's we're just at such an interesting place because the field, we simply don't know what's going to happen. Are we looking at a future where you're going to print out your DNA and know how smart you're going to be and what your personality is going to be like? And there are people who think yes and people who think no.